Hello and welcome to the Arsenal by Size podcast. I'm your host Clayton at Clayton AFC on X, who is laughing because I forgot to click the go live button while Nima and I were sat here. Nima, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you, Clayton. Yeah, I'm excited, man. What can I say? It's a 5:30 game under the floodlights, away from home after a big trip away at Sporting, who were undefeated this season prior to playing us, and it feels like that it's like a new chapter of the season has begun. I don't know if you feel like that, Clayton, but since the Forest game and kind of coming back from the international break, I just almost feel like it's a new chapter of our season. Like those first 3 months with the big three international breaks in the way. And now we get this run of like multiple games every 3 days. And we just keep going. We keep playing. We have a almost fully fit squad. So when you ask, how are you? The long answer, the roundabout way of saying, I am so excited about what lies ahead of us.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same. And yeah, I think that's a nice way of phrasing it. Like the first the first chapter of the season has felt so draining, and like there's been so many injuries, red cards. There's just been so much adversity to deal with that I actually felt emotionally quite draining. And yeah, I think the kind of new chapter started against Forest, where we obviously blitzed them, played incredibly well, like got to see the squad rotated. And I just think, like Arteta said it himself, I think Bobby was the one that mentioned this on the Forest review pod, where like we've gone from training with a group of 12 to 18, 19 now. And yeah, I think some of the football we've played this week has been absolutely bonkers. And yeah, like you said, Sporting were unbeaten this season. I think what the stat I said was they were unbeaten in 18 and they'd won their last 9 in a row before they played us.
Yeah.
And we went there and just, I don't know about you, but yeah, go on. Let's touch on the Sporting game before we preview the West Ham game. That for me, that first half, I think that's the best I've seen Arsenal play under Mikel Arteta. For me, that sounds quite outlandish. I think we've seen performances that have been amazing. We've had results that have been amazing. We went on that run. That for me on Wednesday, was it Wednesday? Tuesday night was the combination of absolutely everything that we've seen in isolated moments of the best of Arteta's Arsenal. It was that kind of aggressive tempo, which I think sometimes we lose. It was the risk taking in the final third. It was the directness. It was then also the kind of slowing it down in moments. It was the pressing, the intensity, the aggressiveness. It was unbelievable. It was the most complete performance I've seen from Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. And I must stress that first half, because then the first 15 minutes of the second half, I think it was a little bit more balanced. We were a little bit under the cosh, but then got the fourth, got the fifth, made some nice changes. I just think Arteta is someone that we forget. It feels weird still saying this, like, oh, he's in his first job, but like he is. And I know it's been 5 years, but a criticism of myself and other fans have given him is how he uses and doesn't use the squad appropriately. I think he's done it to an absolute T this week, and the performance on Tuesday night was just absolutely mesmerizing. Yeah, what was your take on it?
Yeah, so I think definitely first half. Like first half, they were just pinned back. Like I'd not seen anything like it. This is a team that beat Man City 4-1, and I could hear the commentary. Like, they started by saying, "Oh, this is how the City game started," and then when we scored, they were like, "This is how City went ahead," and then Sporting shows up after, and then they start playing after they're 1-0 down. It's like they were just like fantasizing that like it was going to play out the exact same way. But I think it got to a point where we already said how crazy it was to have like Martin Odegaard back, to see him pressing against Chelsea in the end of that second half, despite not having played for the best part of 2 months. I think it's not just that we've had like 17, 18 people in training. I think a lot of players didn't go on this international break. And so for 2 weeks, not only has he gone from training with only 12 players, he's got more players, and so many stayed back from international, so many pulled out. And he's almost had time to bring everyone together. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's quite interesting. A lot of people were clamoring for Ethan Nowhere. You know why I'm gonna? So you know why I didn't say it, because I actually listened to a pod yesterday where apparently the players said how their name is pronounced, and the way he said it was different how everyone's been pronouncing it all
Oh, so
season.
you're correct.
Well, apparently it's Nwaneri, not Nwanieri.
Okay, so you do pronounce the N. It's not Waneri.
Yeah, but it's like Nwaneri.
Oh, okay.
apparently. But then also Martinelli said his name is pronounced Marcinelli. So I think it was actually Adrian Clark. He was saying he listened to some of the players pronouncing their names, and he was like, "Oh shit, this could have been nice to be done at the start of the season." So he started
Yeah.
calling Martinelli in commentary Marcinelli. But anyway, sorry, I was going to say so about Nwaneri. I don't know if you've noticed this, but everyone was clamoring for him to be the solution to our creative problems at 17 years old with the captain out. And actually, with the captain back, he's now seeing a lot more of the pitch. And this is quite a fascinating one because I almost feel like this is part of that brick by brick narrative where it's like the same fans who were clamoring for him to start, if he was starting games and we were still not looking great, which we haven't for months, how quickly would the kid have been put under a bus, right? So it's like now that the captain's back, we can afford to get him to come on, but then the level doesn't drop. And I think that's the biggest kind of compliment I can give him is that we're talking about how unbelievable it is the way we now play with Martin back, both in attack and defense. And yet every time that the kid subs on for Odegaard, the level does not drop. So that is the biggest compliment I can give him. I just wanted to add that because he's been coming on like bit by bit every game since Odegaard's been back, and I think we're going to see a lot of minutes for him in this
Yeah,
contested round.
I think so. I think the big thing there is like with Odegaard in the team, we're just more likely to be in a winning scenario. Therefore, we can take him off and give Waneri more minutes. It's yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll continue to go 2-3 goals up, take Odegaard off, bring Waneri on, but then give him maybe like more than just 5-10 minutes if we can. Obviously, we've got the Carabao Cup game in a few weeks. FA Cup will be starting in the new calendar year. So yeah, let's hope we go deep in there. But what a talent. I think he is going to play more minutes this season, touch wood, if he stays injury free than any of us would have thought in the summer. So yeah, can't remember if it was a pod with you or someone else, but we were looking at Foden's minutes in his first season and it was peanuts. It was barely anything. So yeah, it's yeah, encouraging signs. But any more on the Sporting game before we go on to the West Ham preview? I guess the only thing I want to shout out is Gabriel mocking Gyökeres. I must say, like I am so Pontus is in the chat. Let me shout out everyone that's in. We've got Bobby Love, bonjour. Mike Halpin, Uncle Mike, afternoon lads. We're on a run. We're on a run. We're on a run. Bobby saying, yeah, Sporting hadn't lost at home in 18 months either. Which is wild. Uncle Mike, emptying stadiums FC is back. I did hear that on the commentary, not the commentary. I heard it in the away end. Emptying stadiums everywhere we go. Pontus, hello lads. Remember to leave a like. Thanks for that, mate. Yeah. So what I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Gyökeres. So Pontus made me realize why I wanted to speak about Gyökeres because I said in a group chat that we're both in that Gyökeres impressed me, and it was more. I know Gabriel Saliba pocketed him, but that for me looked like Gyökeres at his worst. And if that was him at his worst, I was very encouraged because I saw a guy that was capable of creating a yard for himself, didn't shy away from any physicality. The way he strikes the ball, that all of the fundamentals were there for me to see how that could be translated into how he would contribute within an elite environment where he's not going to be defended against like that. Like we're a unique team that aren't, not many teams are going to be able to have that impact on him. So I was quite impressed with the kind of fundamentals of his game that I saw, but Gabriel Saliba just locked him off impressively well. And yeah, I wish this was an isolated Sporting Lisbon review because I feel like I could talk about that game.
We could talk
for
about
an
that. I could
hour.
talk about that game for an hour. Yeah, like honestly, like one person just talking of pronunciations. Easy says that Ethan doesn't know how his name is pronounced because he wasn't born in Nigeria. So he agrees with you, in fact, that the N is silent. So I believe Wanyeri. Hopefully, you can let us know
That's
if that's
better, yeah.
correct. Is
Not
that
what
better?
Nawaneri, what you used to say
Nawaneri.
with the Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or, yeah, I've had some. I remember when I called Eze easy. That I will never. That is the worst one. Easy E out here in Crystal Palace. But that one was terrible. But the reason I just want to bring that up is so another player who apparently said his name is not pronounced Yuri and Timber. He said Jurian. So again, I don't know if these players are just like trying to simplify their names for the English fans, or if like that's how they truly pronounce it themselves. I honestly don't know. But the reason I bring him up is not because of the pronunciation of his name, but because he showed me something in that game I just could not comprehend. There's 2 games now where he basically told Saka, bro, don't come back. I got this on my own. And to see Saka further up the pitch, more advanced, feeling secure that with Urian behind him, he does not need to have to track back as much as he has done in many of the games. Because so what people forget is Saka's output and golden assists is insane in itself. He's one of like 3 or 4 players to have both 60 goals and 60 assists in the last 2 seasons. And it's like elite company. We're talking like Haaland, Salah, him, and one other player. And he's just smashing records everywhere he goes. But then the amount of defensive work is in like the top percentile of the world too for his winger position. So it's like that's what always makes it crazy for me. The Saka's getting this output, and yet he defends so much more than any single player that he's competing with for these output competitions or stats. Because none of them have to defend like he does. And then to finally see him unshackled, to have his brother Martin back, to have the chemistry, to bounce off each other, to not have to be the only man dragging Arsenal through, you know? It's like having someone else that's on his level. And I hate the debate in the online fan base of Martin versus Saka because they complement each other. The two, like
Is
you
that a
saw the
debate?
quote.
I must follow the right people because I'm not seen that.
Well, many of them feel that by playing Odegaard, we shift Saka out too wide, and Saka should be the primary player the team is built around, and not Martin. And they feel that Martin, yeah, it's a long story. I just think it's crazy to be debating that these are our 2 best players, and together they're the best. But to have Urian behind them is unbelievable because he can play, from what I can see, the entire back line. I'm comfortable with him in left back, right back, either centre back. I think I'd be comfortable with him playing as a 6. I could be comfortable with him playing as a winger, as a striker. Honestly, I just can't. I think the reason I want to shout him out is I think in a game that we dominated, and we just spoke about one of our best performances in that half that you've seen under Mikel Arteta, it would be easy to think that Martin or Saka were the primary playmakers, but they weren't. It was Yuri and Timber. He created the most chances still in that match. And so it's not just that he's telling Saka, go play further forward, you don't track back, I've got this. But he can play anywhere on that pitch at an insane level. And it's like he instantly knows which flick to switch in his brain of what to pull out or what to do. And I just, oh my God, I just had to talk about him. I know we're going to move on to West Ham, but I just had to talk about him specifically.
It's a good point. I just think I always think like how can I phrase this so I'm not devaluing Ben White? Like Ben White is one of my favorite players in the squad, one of the most consistent, but I do think there are certain things that Timber gives us in a right back area that Ben White can't. And like I think Ben White is so intelligent, so competent, so consistent, like I've said, but Timber's technique and technical ability, like you just said, it's like he is someone that is capable of playing anywhere, and it shows. Like he is on the same technical wavelength as Odegaard and Saka in that right hand side, and that is the biggest compliment ever. And I think, the kind of Saka defensive work is so interesting because I think that's just a byproduct of us dominating games again in all territories. I think, like right now, I genuinely think we could be playing within reason anyone at right back if the whole team structurally is doing well, and Saka won't need to put in the same defensive shift just because of how we're controlling all territories of the pitch at the minute. But obviously that's massively devaluing what Timber's bringing to the side. So yeah, absolutely brilliant from him. It's interesting, like Calafiori's been more reserved as well, and like he's just like a bloody he's a bloody
He's been great as well.
gladiator, isn't he? But he's like been quite reserved in his positioning, and it just enabled. I think we're seeing balance. I thought Partey was exceptional midweek, and right now, like I don't know what our best midfield 3 is. We've all been saying we want to see Rice, Marino, Odegaard, which I do, but I don't want to take Partey out of this team as it stands. And I guess that's probably a nice segue into the West Ham preview. Before we do talk on team news, predicted lineups, and go more in detail, just have a little review at the Champions League table. So 5 games gone, and we're in the top 8 now. So we are 7th in the table, but we're joint on 10 points with many teams. I'm not going to bore people on audio and count, but there's quite a few. But prior to this game, in my opinion, I was saying I thought we needed 1 draw and 3 wins to go and qualify in that top 8. We've gone and beat, in my opinion, the toughest team we had left in the fixtures. We've now got Monaco at home, Zagreb at home, and Girona away. I think in that order, we should be fine. I think 2 wins takes us to 16 points. That should do it. And then if we go into the final match day against Girona, we can hopefully rotate a few team players, because I think around that we have got City.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the City game is around the Girona game. So this is ideal for us if it all works out. And that Sporting win is what's kind of given us the chance to do this. I don't know if you saw the betting odds, Clates, but before the game, we were like 34% to win against Sporting, and they were like 45%, and draw was like 30%. I don't remember the last time we faced an opposition where like we weren't the favorites in the betting market. So that tells you all you need to know about that. Like, we made them look ordinary. They're not an ordinary team.
Yeah, big time. The narratives are annoying me. I know it's so easy to say, oh, they're without Amorim and this and that, but you could still see the fundamentals of how they were coached on Tuesday night. They were good in periods. Like, we just squashed them because we were elite in periods. I think if they played the way they did against most teams, I think they would have had some joy. I just think we were so elite structurally and technically on Tuesday that that level, if we can replicate that, Jesus fucking Christ, like, yeah, watch out to the rest of the world, I guess. But yeah, let's go into the West Ham preview. So yeah, we always start with the predicted 11. So I've included the lineup that started on Tuesday, just because I think on paper, lots of people may consider this our first choice 11 compared to what we fielded against Forest. So yeah, there were 3 changes on Tuesday night. So Partey, Martinelli, and Havertz came in for Jorginho, Marino, and Jesus. No, have I got that wrong? I can't remember what the changes
what was it? Jesus, Trossard, and Jorginho, right? They're the 3 that got ditched. Yeah,
that's it. Cheers. So yeah, that was the starting 11 on Tuesday. For those on YouTube, you can see it on the screen. I guess team news wise, the major thing was Gabriel went off. I don't know with what he went off on Tuesday, but Arteta's quote was, as useful as always, wait and see. I can't give you an update, not because I don't want to. And then they moved on. So
not because I don't want to.
Yeah, I think he'll play. Just, I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. Just an opinion based on no real insight. I just think he'll play. Do you have any strong thoughts?
There's a lot of games coming up, so I do think that there is training later today. So the quotes are before training today, and so you would assume that he just trains today and plays tomorrow. You would assume, but I could see him, if he's not 100%, definitely getting a rest with what's to come in December. And that doesn't reassure me as an FPL Gabriel owner who has Rico Lewis on the bench and Jacob Greaves. So it's in my interest that Gabriel plays. So I'm going to, like you, just believe that he'll be fine. Apparently, he just went off with discomfort. But I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know why he would. They were like, he felt uncomfortable. He didn't know why. So he like came off. But then like Gabriel's a bit of a warrior, right? Like, when would he ever ask to come off unless there's something wrong? Like,
well, he did against Liverpool, right? And then I think he did play the next game. Was the next game Newcastle, maybe?
Yeah, he was back, true.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Let's do 2 things. One, can you give me your predicted 11 if you think if Gabriel's fit? And then if he's not, what do you think we'll do?
Great, yeah. So my biggest question mark is whether the likes of, say, Jesus, even Trossard or Marino get into this 11. That's kind of my debate. So if I assume the back...
So sorry, just to add some context, you did touch on it in terms of schedule. We've got Man United at home Wednesday night, then we have Fulham away the following Sunday. So 2 on pay, well, 1.5 potentially tough games coming up. So yeah.
So one thing I think is, I think that what we did against Sporting tactically was like a test ground or like a test lab for how to play against the back 3 with Man United.
Ooh.
So part of me thinks that, yeah. So I think that therefore there would be some changes to basically have this team that's on screen now available and ready for Wednesday. So I think that actually the likes of a Marino instead of a Partey, or a Trossard instead of a Martinelli, I think they could both still get in for the game against West Ham.
Okay, so would you mind running me through what you think that? Yeah,
Yeah,
because that
let's
that
say.
logic is quite interesting. Yeah.
So
So
I
what do
think
you
it will
think?
be like Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel Calafiori, a double pivot of Rice and Marino with kind of Odegaard as more of a 10, and then Trossard maybe with Odegaard pressing or Havertz with Odegaard pressing, and then Martinelli. My debate with him is, does he get another start because he scored just to keep that confidence going, or is it actually he's just saved and wrapped in wool against Man United to counter their counter?
Yeah. Okay. No, that's interesting. To be fair, and if Gabriel's not available, just
Yeah,
for sake
that's a
of
tough one.
conversation, what do you think we'll do?
So I think in that case we wouldn't bring in the other guys. So if that, so my prediction was if only Gabriel's ready. If he's not, I do think Kivior will play as the left centre back, and I do think that we will then therefore keep Partey in the lineup, keep Martinelli in the lineup. I don't think we'll change things further up the pitch if the back line is on like slightly unsettled.
Sure. I'm struggling with my predicted 11. I think the team that started against Forest, I would not have picked myself or thought of in a million years. And then when I saw it land prior to kickoff, I was like, I quite like that. And you could see he just went for tech. He went for the technique
All
of
technical,
Jesus,
yeah.
Trossard, Jorginho, who I thought played well personally. It was just the yellow card thing. And I do look at West Ham and how they're trying to evolve. They obviously had a great result on Monday night against Newcastle, and they're trying to be a bit more of a ball playing team. It's one of them where, look, this is a massive cop out. I can see the use for the team that started on Tuesday, where it's more, you've got that blend of technique and pace and power. I could also see us fielding the same team that played against Nottingham Forest and going there and running rings technically around West Ham. And this is where I'm confused on what is he going to deploy, because that thing you just said about Man United, that makes so much sense. And I think if we look at West Ham away, Man United, and then Fulham away as the block of 3 games that we've got in the next week, we then have Monaco at home before Everton at home. I think let's forget Monaco at home, Everton at home for now. I think West Ham is the, in air quotes, easiest of the 3 in terms of Man United and Fulham. And is he
Yeah.
really going to play the same 11 starting for 3 games in a row? I'm not sure. So I'm so torn. I know I need to do the whole bullet to my head thing and give a prediction. I'm going to bottle it and say he's going to go with the same team that started on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I must say it's like 51-49 in my head on whether he does that. I would
I
not be
guess,
surprised
like,
if
how many
Trossard.
subs were made, right? So who was subbed and when against Sporting? So like
Good
quite
question.
a
So I
few of
can
them
tell
got
you now.
subbed, right?
So Martinelli and Rice went off on the 70th minute for Trossard and Marino. Calafiori and Odegaard went off on the 78th minute for Zinchenko and Waneri. And then obviously there was the enforced change, Gabriel and Kivior. Just on that, I'll answer the same question I asked you. If Gabriel is out, I, like you, don't think there'll be all the other changes.
Mhm.
But I do wonder if he will go Calafiori left centre back, Zinchenko left back, as opposed to just straight swap Kivior in for Gabriel.
That's a thought. Yeah, you know what? I didn't consider that because you've started to now see Zinchenko get a few minutes to prepare him for
And I
something,
thought
right?
he looked all right when he came on.
I think we underestimate how much he's going to use this squad now, because even with Sterling, he kind of spoke about they asked him how did Sterling react to like the substitution change, and he was like, like he had a smile on his face. Fortunately for me, he was like, he's been settling in well. He deserves to play. Now he just needs more minutes. And we were starting to see that he was maybe going to get some minutes off the bench, rest Saka here and there. So I do think, again, like Sterling will have important minutes to play. So far, he's not really provided anything for us beyond, I say nothing, but actually just being a mentor for the kids and assisting one area and looking for him and trying to find him. Like that in itself, if the only thing that comes good of this entire loan is he plays no minutes for us, but he mentors one area to grow into like adult football, then I'll take that too. I don't really care. So that part I like, because he was a young wonder kid, right? Once, and similar with Martin and their old Kai as well. These were all wonder kids once, and they're taking him under their wing, and I really like that. I really rate that. But I
Yep.
want to see more. So I do want to see, us get big leads, go ahead, 2 goals at halftime, 60th, 70th minute, take off a Saka for a Sterling. Give players rest, and That's what I'm hoping, that you're right, that it's the exact same lineup as Tuesday on Saturday, and we go for it, like out of the blocks, and then just start making subs.
This
That's
is
the ideal world.
this is why I love talking through the predictions with you, because as we've been speaking, I've more solidified my opinion. I think it's going to be the same starting 11 as Tuesday. I think it will be a view of get the lead, get them in and out of there, and rotate through substitutions. I think if it was at West Ham at home, I think he'd go for the Jorginho, Marino, Trossard, Jesus all coming in. Yeah, I think he's going same 11. So that's my prediction. In terms of West Ham, like I said, yeah, they had a great result away at Newcastle, sorry, which surprised a few. They did make one change. Was Soler came in midfield for I forgot who's the guy that was playing in midfield. Was it Alvarez that he replaced?
Oh, Edson Alvarez,
I
maybe,
think
yeah.
so. I can't remember, but I want to have a quick look because that was the kind of no, it was Guido Rodriguez. That was the one. So yeah, that was the main major change, and apparently that was what caused a lot of the changes. Apparently they looked quite. I didn't watch the game myself, but they looked quite competent technically. They looked quite comfortable on the ball. Jared Bowen was playing more of like a playmaker type role, apparently. So it's interesting. I don't want to be that kind of arrogant guy, but I'm going to be that arrogant guy. I think as long as we execute our plan, like it doesn't matter what West Ham will do, we'll beat them. And it doesn't matter if we opt for that technical team or we go for that direct, pacey, powerful team. But the key to that is we have to execute everything. We have to be mentally on it, technically on it, because there have been games where we've not been. So yeah, the big caveat there is if we look like we're on it, I think we'll have enough to win the game either through the starting 11 or power up from the bench. Score prediction time. So you did miss one, partly my fault. I forgot to chase you for the score in the Chelsea game. So you've predicted 11 games. I've predicted 12.
I didn't predict the Chelsea game. You're right.
You've got 55% correct. I've got 50, half of them. You've got one correct score out of the 11. I've got none out of the 12 I've predicted. Yeah. What are you going with for this one? You've predicted us to concede 3 goals from the 11 we've played. We've conceded 12. But I don't know. Now's the time where it looks like the clean sheets could be free flowing, hopefully. Do you think there'll be a clean sheet this weekend?
I think as long as Gabriel plays, I do, yeah. If Gabriel doesn't, I'm going to cop out and say if Gabriel doesn't, we win 3-1. If Gabriel does play, I think we win 2-0.
Okay.
And I think I think Gabriel plays, so I'll go with 2-0 for the actual official prediction. But if he's not in that lineup tomorrow, in the back of my heart, I'll be like, oh shit, we're going to concede one there.
What's the difference in your head where Gabriel playing means we score one less?
I know, that's a funny one, isn't it? It's actually just because I think we'll obviously not concede if Gabriel plays, but also I think that like we'll go 2-0 up very quickly and just dominate the game in a way where we just sub everyone, and then like because it's less time on the pitch for that core 11, we won't actually ever end up getting the third goal. Whereas I think in the one where we concede without him, we can't sub them off early because it's dangerous at 2-1, and then we have to go and get the third. Yeah,
sure.
So that's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's like a game state thing. Yeah.
All right, fair play.
It's a very weird prediction, I know.
No, it makes sense, to be fair. I can see the logic there. So for the sake of the spreadsheet, I'll put the 2-0 down because I think we are working on the assumption that we think Gabriel will play. I'm going 4-1 to the Arsenal. I really want to say 4-0. I feel like part of it is just hedging my bets, to be honest. Like, surely we can't shut them out and go and win 4-0 away from home. But I don't know. Like, I know Sporting was a very different opposition. Like, we did have a 15-minute spell where we looked a little bit on the ropes. Is harsh. I just can't think of another word. But yeah, I know West Ham's very different opposition. I think we'll do very well here. Like I said, I do think we'll keep a clean sheet, but I'm hedging my bets slightly. I'm going 4-1. I think we will suffocate the living shit out of them. I think we will dominate all phases. There will be, I hope we do, because we're on the telly, right? Saturday 5:30. I want to squash all of these Jose Mourinho stupid comments. Like, it's funny. I didn't see no praise for Arsenal on Tuesday night. No, not many teams go there and do that 5-1 away from home. I think it was our second ever biggest win away from home in Europe. Obviously,
I don't think like in my recent memory, I don't
recent,
remember in
no
the last
chance.
20 years like going away to an opposition of their caliber and doing what we did. I don't remember one.
No,
Like,
that felt like a big, like slap our dick on the table in Europe moment. We've arrived, and yeah, I hope it translates through to tomorrow. And yeah, I've got 4-1, you've got 2-0. Bobby's gone 5-0 to the Arsenal, saying the tubes will be busy before halftime again. Oh yeah, of course. I was at that game last year, and yeah, that was so funny. I can't remember if that, because we beat like Burnley and Sheffield United 5 and 6-0, and I can't remember what order they were, but that was the birth of the stadiums are empty everywhere we go. I feel like West Ham was the first one of that block. So yeah, hopefully we're all correct. I personally hope Bobby's correct, because that would be great. Let's try and put some pressure on Liverpool and City before Sunday. Arteta said he'll be watching that game. He said that in terms of who he wants to win, he just said he wants Arsenal on Saturday because we can't control otherwise. Yeah, 100%. He says it's a big match. I'll be watching. Beautiful match to watch. Two of the best teams in Europe facing each other, and competition for us. It's a big one. So yeah, let's just do our business. Go into the weekend. Oh, Suj is in the chat.
Oh,
4-1
wow.
past the Zoot.
4-1. Oh, man.
Suj, what's your score prediction?
Yeah,
I
let us know
reckon
your predictions, Suj.
I
Let us
reckon
know
he's
your
got a.
prediction.
I didn't listen to the diff show on Planet FPL. He's definitely predicted us to win though, 100%.
Well, while we wait for his prediction, what do you think will happen against City Liverpool? Firstly, but what would you want to happen? Because I was asking myself, do I want a draw here, or do I want City to take more points off Liverpool, with the fear that them getting a win would kickstart their own run? So it's like it's like on a knife edge. I don't really know. Like, someone is dropping points either way, so it's good. But I don't know if I want that to be a Liverpool win. I think is the only one we agree that we do not want. Right?
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
agree. I think a draw, but I don't know. Unless City signed someone in January, I'm not really concerned, which is a dangerous thing to say, that they'll go on and do the monster runs that we've seen before. I just can't. I mean, I've never historically known what the solution was until he's come out and done it. So maybe he has got something up his sleeve. I just think like they look so vulnerable centrally at the minute that unless they sign someone, I'm not concerned. I'd say a draw, but to be honest, part of me does think, if City go there and win, will it somewhat have a momentum shift negatively on Liverpool, where they then play, I think, Newcastle away and then Everton maybe. So yeah,
They almost dropped points in the game that I said they wouldn't. They needed a dodgy penalty against Southampton right at the end, right? So
yeah,
you remember what I said? I said by January 5th, halfway through the season, that exact time, you remember they're gonna have dropped. We're gonna be 20 points ahead of them by then. The swing will have yeah.
So just the boss has said, he said he predicted 3-1 to the Arsenal on the pod he did this morning. Bobby's asking for a Suj and Clayton watch along for tomorrow. Why is Nima not invited, Bobby? Uncle Mike said draw. Oh no, in the Liverpool Man City game.
But is that what he wants or what he thinks will happen? So I think I want a draw, but I worry that will Liverpool just beat them? Because like you said, they've never looked this vulnerable centrally.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will win. I think they'll win quite comfortably, to be honest. Ponte, I can't remember if these are Arsenal predictions or Liverpool City ones now, but Ponte says 3-0 win, so I'm going to assume
that's
for
for
Arsenal.
us. Yeah, I think that's for us.
Uncle Mike says he wants a 21-man brawl. Bobby said City win, he hopes. It start the domino effect. And Bobby Love says Alex McCarthy's going to get a Prem Winners medal for that performance. No, he's not, because we're winning the fucking league. We will leave it there. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. If you are watching live, please drop the stream a like. If you're listening on podcast, give it a 5-star review. And as we always say, share it with your mates. If you've got any gooners that are Arsenal fans and think they'd like this vibe, yeah, word of mouth goes a long way. So cheers, everyone. I will be back on Sunday with a guest who I've forgotten who has agreed to do it. But yeah, I'll be back on Sunday to review the game. So yeah, share it with your mates. Hopefully a big win. Up the Arsenal. Cheers, everyone.
Come on, you Gunners.